James Comey just got the worst news of his career. He's lashing out on camera, angry, defensive, and clearly panicking. Why? Because FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino just launched a major investigation. And Comey, well, he's losing it. Before we get any further, please be sure to like, comment, and share Explain America. You're helping to spread common sense journalism, and we appreciate it. Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, now running the FBI, just announced that they're reopening, or throwing more firepower behind, 3 of the most suspicious and unresolved stories of the last 5 years. Here's Comey with his meltdown.
Something supported by a lot of conservatives out there. What do you make of this?
It's a little confusing to me, honestly. I'm sure it's a huge adjustment to go from being a podcaster to being the deputy director of the FBI, but I don't understand this tweet. First of all, I assume that the investigation of the pipe bomb that was found on January 6th was never closed. The FBI never closes such a thing, so I guess it means they're going to focus on it more. And as to the other things, I thought the Supreme Court marshal had investigated the leak of the opinion, the draft opinion. I don't know what the FBI's role is there. Cocaine at the White House, I thought the Secret Service investigated that, so I don't follow it and understand it. I also don't understand who the audience is for this tweet. The FBI often calls for public assistance, or in matters of great public concern will announce an investigation to reassure the public. This seems much more narrowly targeted, maybe to a former podcast audience.
That's potentially what's going on. I want to get your also reaction to an exchange the new FBI Director Kash Patel had with Democratic Senator Patty Murray during a recent congressional hearing. Listen to this.
Director Patel, where is the FY 2026 budget request for the FBI?
It's being worked on, ma'am.
Have you reviewed it? Have you approved it?
Not yet.
When will we get it?
As soon as I can get it from my interagency partners and get it approved.
That is insufficient and deeply disturbing. No response?
I've given my response.
Are you concerned that the FBI will still be able to fulfill all of its important duties with Director Kash Patel leading the Bureau?
I hope so. That I cringe at that clip. I actually feel kind of sorry for the guy. It's like showing up for a final exam with no pencils and no paper, and you didn't even know there was a final exam. And so I hope the career people are able to support the director and the deputy director. There are lots of people in the FBI who know what they're doing. I hope these 2 guys are letting them guide them.
You think they know what they're doing?
The career people know what they're doing.
No. The career people know what they're doing, but the new director and the deputy director.
Nothing in their life or their career gives me confidence that they know anything about leading an organization like that. And so I would have serious doubts. I bet they do internally about whether they have doubts. Great. Let the people who know what they're doing give you advice and listen to them.
Now, as you saw from James Comey, he absolutely lost it, the thought that the FBI would actually be investigating these crimes. That's rich coming from a guy who launched the Russia hoax and oversaw one of the most politically motivated FBI operations in modern history. And no, we did not forget about Spygate. You spied on a presidential campaign, and you used that information based on Hillary Clinton's dirty dossier. We know what you did. You were colluding with the Democratic Party and pushing a very destructive lie about a future president of the United States, accusing him of being a traitor when, well, it really starts to look more like you're the traitor, Jim, because you are supposed to be accountable for what the FBI did. And if you are accountable for those things, well, the FBI has been completely weaponized, has engaged in partisan investigations, has corrupted justice, and has essentially sullied its reputation beyond repair to the point where most Americans, well, they wonder if the FBI should actually be in business at all. The truth is, this is what actual accountability looks like. Bongino said he's getting weekly briefings. Investigative teams have been reassigned. They're asking the public for tips. Now, we want to see some action from the FBI, not another cleanup operation. And they need some wins pretty badly, and Comey knows it. He knows if the public finds out who really planted those bombs, and again, this pipe bomber who was caught on numerous surveillance videos and was communicating with somebody by cell phone before carrying out the alleged planting of these inert pipe bombs, which were removed with a lot of fanfare on January 6th, on the day when the election was scheduled to be certified. And as everybody in Washington, D.C. knew, the Republicans were going to contest this election. So what better way to launch a trap or have a backup plan than to have these innate pipe bombs at the DNC, where Kamala Harris, who was vice president-elect that day, ditched her press team, made an unannounced, unscheduled visit to the DNC, and apparently all of these dogs that the Secret Service used, they missed these innate pipe bombs. But later on, after it was supposedly discovered by a plainclothes DC Capitol Police officer, that's courtesy of Steve Baker at Blaze Media, who broke that story, it was removed as if it was a live bomb. But yet the police officers who were there, they let kids play right next to it. So it was all a charade. It was all an act. And we want to know who the actors were in this play that was put on for public consumption, so that they would have a way of blaming Trump supporters for being evil, violent, bomb-threatening terrorists. And they were prepared, and actually even over this, even over the bomb threats, there were a few of the federal buildings were shut down because of these threats. That was in addition to this riot, which started under very murky circumstances because, well, a lot of the hardcore MAGA supporters, they were listening to Donald Trump saying, let's peacefully and patriotically protest at D.C. And that wasn't to disrupt the election certification. That is the big lie. It was to support the Republicans who were already objecting to the election slates in the Congress. That was the real threat that they were trying to stop, that there would be momentum for these slates of electors to be turned back. And of course, we know what Vice President Mike Pence did, and that's the rest is history. So James Comey knows that if this investigation leads to real answers and it's revealed what really went down and how deeply immersed in this this so-called riot, this spontaneous riot that was there to supposedly cause a coup. And again, I don't know. I'm a political scientist. I don't know many coups in history that were carried out without firearms. I don't know. They said the only people who were provably killed, I mean charged in court with homicide, the only person that could have been charged with homicide, of course, was Ashley Babbitt. And she was shot at point blank range. And of course, we know the Capitol Police covered that up and made sure that Byrd never saw any real scrutiny of his behavior, or let alone a jury trial. So it was all covered up. Like Speaker Pelosi said, we've been waiting for this, right? When she was talking about when she was with her daughter, saying that Trump was going to come to Washington D.C. She was waiting for this, right? So I am really interested in seeing what Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, and Dan Bongino knows all this stuff too, and I've seen his show, and I know Dan and met him. He knows all this stuff very well, better than just about anybody out there. So I want to see the games come to an end. I want to see him drop a few hole cards. Let's see some deep state actors get exposed, and see some swamp critters go scurrying. That's my opinion. This has been Kyle Becker with Explain America.